So Nisha, since it's tangentially related to the topic at hand today, do you have any strange talents that freak people out?
Yeah, I freaked Adam out the other day because I can move my nostrils on their own, like flare them, and he was just like, what the fuck?
That is weird. At the height of America's vaudeville boom in the early 20th century, one of the best known and best paid performers was a man called Frank Cannonball Richards. A large, imposing figure, Richards' act consisted of nothing more than standing there on stage and showcasing a very particular skill, a stomach that was seemingly impervious to all forms of harm. It probably won't surprise anyone to learn that Richards discovered this skill when he was drinking with friends. And Richards, being a man, and men being stupid, would like to spend some of his time drinking with his friends, hurting himself for fun, which is something I can confirm men do when they're drinking in groups together. And to refer to you, Nisha, for the female perspective on this, does that surprise you at all?
Not really, no.
It's so obvious. I have had so many drunk nights with mates where it's just, what should we do? It's, I don't fucking know. See if you can hit me with that stick, or shoot with a Nerf gun or something like that. There's so many nights out I've had where it's like, okay, let's see if we can header insert random object you probably shouldn't try and clonk with your melon. And it's resulted in numerous injuries. My favourite example of which being a time I was at a friend's house, obviously drinking before a night out.
Yeah.
And there was this large iron bar in the room. We don't know where this large iron bar come from, but my friend fancied himself as a martial artist, so started spinning it around, just screaming the words "Gambit," and it flew out of his hands and hit someone in the head. And the guy was like, "Oh, fuck's sake, you ruined my hair." And he went, I shit you not, got super glue and glued the gaping wound on his head back together.
Oh my God.
Got some makeup from one of the girls upstairs, covered it up, did his hair again. Oh, it's fine.
Oh no, that's grim.
Yeah, because that's just men. But I think it's safe to say that Frank Richards was the king of the dumb drunken man bet.
So how did Richard discover it was his stomach that seemed to be invincible?
Well, have you ever seen the film Crocodile Dundee?
A long time ago.
Okay, well there is a scene at the start of Crocodile Dundee. They show a huge buff Australian man in an outback bar taking part in what might be the most Australia thing ever committed to film, which is a drinking contest where you put a pint on your head and then get someone to punch you in the stomach. And if they can make the pint spill, they owe, you owe them a drink. If they can't, they owe you money. So Richards did that. And when I found that out, I thought that thing in Crocodile Dundee was made up. Turns out, no. And you might think that sounds stupid, folks at home, but remember, one of the surefire ways to make a shit ton of money if you own a bar frequented by insecure men is to get one of those punching machines put in them. You'll always get as well the huge big buff dudes will go up to it and hit them just for the high score. And my younger brother, who is built like me but he weighs half as much, he knows how to throw a proper punch. So he knows the thing to do to make those machines basically get the max score. So one of his favourite things to do on nights out was just go up. Obviously really skinny tall guy goes up, puts his money in, and then just really quiet, straight through, racks up the score to 100, and it's okay, he walks off, and he spends the rest of his evening just quietly watching all the huge buff drunk dudes try and top the score, because they don't know how to throw a punch. It bears mentioning for people who may not have experienced it, but being punched in the stomach fucking sucks. And best case scenario, you're winded for a few seconds, worst case scenario, you pass out and vomit. There's a lot of stuff around this area that's quite sensitive and shouldn't really be getting punched. And Frank Richards, for some inexplicable reason, one, didn't feel any pain and never suffered any sort of lasting injury from having people do this. And it eventually got to the point where he realised I could probably make money, or more money than I'm doing now from bar bets, just doing this on stage. The problem for Richards though, when he took his act to the stage, is that it's very difficult to tell at a glance how hard someone is punching, especially if you are showing absolutely no reaction to it whatsoever. So he very quickly developed a number of additions to his act, which included handing random members of the audience everything from baseball bats to metal pipes, and inviting them to swing as hard as they felt like at his midsection in an attempt to make him wince or flinch. And for people wondering, he did still allow people to punch him in the stomach, but what he'd normally do is just invite the biggest person in the audience to come do it, or if he couldn't find one, he'd outsource it and bring in a professional boxer who was local to the area. And talking about Frank Richards just no-selling a full power punch or baseball bat swing to the gut just makes me think of one of those super awesome moments in fiction that I adore, and it is when character is punched or hit and doesn't react at all, and the person swinging at them just goes, "Oh fuck no, what have I just done?" Because the one that springs to mind for me, and I apologise, it may be a spoiler for Yakuza 7, because right at the end of Yakuza 7, spoilers, you fight Kiryu, the main character from the previous 6 fucking games, and he is established throughout that series as being just this almost mythical figure who is unbeatable in one-on-one hand-to-hand combat, to the point his nickname is the Dragon of Dojima. And your character, who throughout the game has beaten up his fair share of men himself, runs up to Kiryu and throws a full power punch directly at him, which Kiryu stops with his forehead without flinching. And your character goes, "Oh no, oh no." And he's like, "I am so fucked."
So yeah, moving the conversation on to Richards. So you mentioned he invited boxers. I'm wondering, were any of them famous boxers?
Well, at least one of them was, because one of the boxers he got into his show once was the heavyweight champion at the time, Jack Dempsey, a man who, in addition to being super huge and buff, was known for his crushing punching power. And in many of his fights, he was capable of winding, if not outright knocking out an opponent with a single haymaker to the gut. And Frank Richards took not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, 10. He took 75 Jack Dempsey punches in a row to the stomach without flinching.
Jesus.
I think one clean, unguarded punch from a heavyweight boxer would, fell almost any normal person. So the fact that Frank Richards gave Jack Dempsey 75 opportunities to hit him as hard as he could, unguarded in the stomach, and then walked away with no apparent injury is fucking incredible. But even that pales in comparison to Richards' most famous act, and that was allowing himself to be shot in the stomach by a cannon.
Yes, I'm currently looking at a picture of Frank Richards now, and it looks familiar, like I might have seen it in an episode of The Simpsons before.
Yeah, it did happen in an episode of The Simpsons. And the episode, I think it's Homerpalooza, where Homer becomes a travelling performance artist who gets shot in the stomach, is a direct reference to Frank Richards, to the point where one of the shots of Homer being shot in the stomach is an almost perfect recreation of one of the only known pieces of footage to have survived of Richards doing the same thing.
So yeah, this whole thing is crazy to me, but I'm going to assume the cannon itself wasn't a real cannon and was kind of specially made?
Yes, a real cannon would have gone straight through anybody's body. Real cannons were designed to obliterate the human form. So it was a specially made cannon, and the technical details of it will be listed below. So it wasn't the kind of cannon that you see on a battlefield somewhere, but it was still capable of launching a very heavy projectile. And Nisha, I'm assuming like the audience at home, you're probably thinking, well, was this something Richards did once, or for a special event?
Yeah, because doing something like that repeatedly would definitely cause injury,
at
definitely.
Some point, yeah. In the Simpsons episode where they reference this, Homer gets told straight up, if you do this one more time, you will fucking die. Making this one of those rare situations where reality is stranger than fiction, because not only did Richards never suffer any kind of injury we are aware of from doing this, but he did it twice a day, every day, for over a decade as the standard ending to his acts. And if you're thinking, well, why did he do it twice a day? Because according to him, if he did it 3 times a day, he started to get a little bit of stomachache and he didn't like it. That's the only time. He said, if I do it 3 times a day, it hurts a little bit. So I'll do it twice a day, sleep it off, and then do it twice a day the next day as well. And people need to keep in mind that this is how Richards would end his shows, which he did 2 of per day. So immediately prior to being hit by the cannonball, he's had people swinging baseball bats and sledgehammers. Because I forgot to mention that he let people do it with sledgehammers at his stomach, and then invited the biggest guy in the audience to swing at him as well. And then he ended it with the cannonball. And he did it every day, twice a day for 10 years, and then lived to be, I shit you not, 81 years old. I almost think he lived that long out of spite, just to say fuck you to all the people who said it was a stupid idea to stand in front of a cannon twice a day. I'm just now standing here in awe of the amount of punishment like Frank Richards could take without showing any outward sign of pain or discomfort, because fucking hell, that man was an absolute beast. Yeah, I've had some fairly gnarly injuries, nothing that's even remotely close to that. But the one I had most recently is when I was building furniture in my flat. Yeah. And I had a big delivery, it's like a big flat pack. And it's like 5, 6 pieces of wood all in a single box. I pull them all out in one big chunk, pull them out of the box, and then one of the pieces of wood slid out and went straight down and landed directly on the middle of my big toe. And I looked down, and do you know that thing where your sock starts to feel warm? And you can't tell as if it's because is it because I've got a bruise, or is it because my foot is bleeding? So I very slowly took off my sock and looked, and my entire big thumbnail had just gone black.
Oh, shit.
So I looked at it and went, I guess I better just put my sock back on.
Pretend it's not there.
I'm just going to pretend it's not there and hope that in a few days it stops being a big deal.
At the start of lockdown, I burnt myself on the oven.
Oh man, that's the worst. Burning yourself on an oven, it's like, why would you betray me like this? It's like the one of when I used to work at a kitchen, and we used to have the boiling water tap. Yeah. Which I don't know why they invented that. It's the most dangerous thing in the world. It's a tap that just sprays out at max, the same level of pressure as those things people use to clean cars in the car wash, boiling water. It's I remember just haphazardly once, I come in with a hangover and went, I'm gonna get myself a glass of water, and I went to the wrong tap. Just boiling water all over. Ah!
Imagine using that tap on a teaspoon. You know when you clean a teaspoon and it just goes everywhere.
If people want to
dangerous game.
Yeah, that's it. It's the most dangerous game. I'm glad you remember that. Because you can confirm, can't you, Nisha? One of my favourite things to do when I'm in the kitchen is for people who don't have to go, hey, would you like to play the most dangerous game? What's that? And I will put the tap on full whack and then put a teaspoon underneath it and try and catch the water in the teaspoon as the water flies in every direction at once. For no reason. Just, what the fuck are you doing? It's ah! How dare hold the teaspoon under the longest? I get so many people with that.
Yeah, I think I last about 2 seconds at most to that.
Everyone gets too scared. Everyone is too scared of the water because it goes everywhere, man. It's crazy.